Ah, the dream. Owning your very own cafe. You can almost smell it, right? That aroma of freshly ground coffee beans, the hiss of the espresso machine, that happy buzz of people enjoying their day. It's such a romantic idea. But here's the thing. The reality is way, way tougher than the dream. It's a business, and frankly, the numbers can be pretty scary.
So get this. Industry data shows that a staggering 74% of independent coffee shops, well, they don't even make it to their 5th birthday. Think about that for a second. That's almost 3 out of every 4 cafes you see open. It's a brutal statistic, and it almost never has to do with bad coffee. It has everything to do with the business side of things.
Which brings us to the big question, right? How do you make sure you're in the 26% that succeeds? How do you build a cafe that doesn't just scrape by, but actually flourishes? Well, that's exactly what we're going to get into.
And here's the most important thing to remember. This isn't about luck. Most cafes that fail, they don't fail because of a string of bad luck. They fail because of mistakes that were totally preventable. You know, with the right plan, the right know-how, and a solid strategy, you can absolutely set yourself up for success.
Okay, so pillar number 1 for building a rock-solid cafe starts right here. You have to master your money and your menu. This is the bedrock, because all the passion in the world, it just isn't going to pay the rent, right?
So think of this chart as your financial blueprint. It's a general rule of thumb from people who really know this business. About 35% of your revenue should go to wages, 25% to your food and coffee costs, 10% to rent. You see how it breaks down. And that big slice at the end, that 20%, that's your goal. That's your profit. The first step is knowing exactly where your numbers land.
All right, once you've got a handle on your costs, it's time to look at your secret weapon. And I mean your single most powerful tool for making money, your menu. Seriously, it is so much more than a list of things to eat and drink. It's a strategic document that can literally make or break you.
And that leads us to this really cool concept called menu engineering. It sounds complicated, but it's not. It's basically the science of designing your menu to subtly guide your customers towards the items that make you the most money. It's about ditching the guesswork and actually analyzing what sells and what pays.
And this little matrix is how you do it. It's brilliant. Everything on your menu fits into one of these 4 boxes. You've got your stars. Everyone loves them, and they make you a ton of money. You feature those. Then you have your plow horses. They're super popular, but the profit margin is kind of low. So can you maybe tweak the price a bit? Puzzles are the opposite. High profit, but they just don't sell. So maybe you need to feature them, give them a better description, or have your staff push them. And then you've got your dogs. Low popularity, low profit. It might just be time to take them off the menu for good.
Okay, a killer menu is a fantastic start, but that's really only half the story. The other half happens in that few seconds right at the register. You've got to learn how to engineer every single sale to make it just a little bit bigger.
First up is a classic, upselling. All this means is suggesting a slightly better, maybe a little more expensive version of what the customer was already going to buy. Think bigger sizes, premium beans, that kind of thing. I mean, we've all heard this, right? Offering to bump up a drink size for just a little extra change, it feels like a no-brainer for the customer. But you multiply that tiny amount by hundreds of transactions a day, and suddenly it adds up to some serious cash. It's a total win-win.
Next up, you've got cross-selling. Now, this is about making their order even better by suggesting something that goes perfectly with it. The trick here is to make it feel like a genuinely helpful recommendation, not like you're just trying to sell them more stuff.
So, something like this, right? You know, a warm croissant goes amazing with that cappuccino. You're not just bumping up the check size, you're actually improving their experience, creating a more complete, more satisfying little meal for them.
And last but not least in this toolbox, we have add-ons. These are all those small, usually inexpensive extras that let people customize their order and make it their own. We're talking flavored syrups, an extra shot of espresso, oat milk, you name it. Each one might only add a little to the bill, but they have fantastic profit margins. And more than that, they give the customer control to create their perfect drink. When your team does this consistently, it becomes a powerful, quiet way to boost your bottom line.
All right, let's talk about our third and final pillar of profitability. This is all about what happens behind the counter, in the kitchen, in the storeroom. You can have the best menu and the best baristas in the world, but if your operations are a mess, you're just hemorrhaging money. Let's start with your ingredients. This is a huge one. Simply planning your menu around what's in season is a total game changer. When you buy produce when it's at its peak, not only does it taste way better, but you can slash your food costs by a whopping 15 to 25%. That's massive.
And that leads to this idea of systemizing everything. You need a process for pretty much every task. First, you figure out the absolute best, most efficient way to do something, and you write it down. Then, you train every single person on your team to do it that exact same way. Use technology to make it all faster and smoother. And, this is key, never stop looking for ways to make the system even better. It's a constant loop.
Speaking of systems, let's talk about waste. Because in a cafe, throwing out food is exactly the same as throwing cash straight into the garbage can. So what's the actual ROI on getting serious about it? Well, studies have shown that for every single dollar you invest in reducing food waste, you can save up to $7. I mean, come on, that is a 700% return on your investment. That's incredible. Whether it's through better inventory tracking, smarter prep schedules, or just getting creative with leftover ingredients, cutting waste is one of the fastest ways to make your business healthier. So, let's pull all of this together. Beating the odds and running a successful cafe isn't some dark art or a big mystery. It really just comes down to nailing a clear, simple, three-part strategy. And if you remember one thing, let it be this: passion is what gets you to open the doors, no doubt. But it's strategy that keeps those doors open year after year. A profitable cafe has to be a well-run business first and a passion project second.
So here it is, your profitability checklist. Know your numbers cold. Design a menu that's built to make money. Train your team to master those small, incremental sales. Build systems for everything so you're consistent and efficient. And become absolutely obsessed with cutting down waste. These are the things that work.
So I'll just leave you with this final thought to chew on. You don't have to overhaul your entire business overnight. Just ask yourself, what is one small system, one tiny process that you could improve tomorrow? Something that might save you just 1% in your food costs or boost your sales by just 1%. Because it's those small, consistent, strategic wins that build a business that doesn't just survive, but truly thrives.